Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to make a Bongo Cat Plushie. I have not made one yet. This will be my first one, but I figured, I'd do it, on film. um, we'll see how it turns out. So let's go. Okay, so to make this plush, you will need some white fleece, tan fleece, and some brown fleece, and I have here some black felt and pink felt. This is going to be used for his paws and his face. Okay, so this is what I have so far. I just drew these out crudely on a notebook paper and just cut it out. Excuse my kitty in the way. So I made one for the body, and you're going to make two of these, and I made one for the top and bottom of the bongos. You're going to make 4 pieces of these. One for the front paws. You're going to make 4 of these. One for the back paws. I made this a little wider than this, which is why I made them, different, front and back. 4 of these, and this is for the ears. You're going to make 4 of these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to also measure around this completely, and I'm going to cut a piece of fabric out on that just to give the plush a little bit more depth. I'm also going to do the same with the bongos. I'm going to measure around it and cut a piece of fabric out so it's like, so it's a tall cylinder thing, like a bongo would be. So here I have some white fabric, brown and tan, and these are the colors I'm going to use. So I'll be right back when I have those shapes cut out. I wanted to show something here. When you have a circle or a square or, anything like that, what I like to do is fold it over, excuse the cat here, fold it over, and you see how we're going to have like a little bit of a raggedy edge. Cut all this excess off just to make sure you have a symmetrical shape, you know what I mean? Okay, so another thing I wanted to add is when you put your stencil on and mark on the fabric where to cut like this, make sure you make the mark on the wrong side, on the side you don't want to show. This side of the plush, or this side of the fabric on mine, is the really, really soft side, so I made sure to put that on the right side where you're not going to see that. When you sew your pieces together, you're going to put the right sides together, and so like that. So you're going to have your markings, facing out. However, there's another way to do this as well. What you can do is like, here, let me show this. What you can do is you can just put it up against the fabric like this and put a pin in and then cut around it so you don't make these kind of marks, so you don't, in case you don't want to take chances or anything like that. But I just chose this way because it's easy for me. Okay, so I have all the pieces cut out. I made the paws a little bit smaller because I noticed they were a little bit too big for the body here. And I'm trying to scale down my plushies because I've noticed I've been making them way too big. So you can keep it the size I had it, which was, all I did was I cut off like maybe 1/2 inch from around the paws here, just to make them just a little bit smaller. But what I'm doing now is I'm measuring around. This is going to be like 28, and I'm going to cut a piece of fabric around, and that's going to, like I said earlier, give the plush a little bit more depth, just so it's not like so flat, you know what I mean? So just to recap, I have 2 of these, so basically 4 of the bottom paws, 4 of the top paws, 4 pieces for the ears, and now I'm going to cut a long strip. You can make the strip however thick you want based on, how thick you want the plush to be. I'm going to make mine like 2.5 to 3 inches just to give it a little bit of fluffiness. I just thought as well, I'm also going to measure the ears around too, because I think I'll make the ears a little bit thicker as well. So that's like 8 inches. And I'm going to go over here. It's really hard to do this one-handed. And cut 8 inches off of there. What I mean by thickness is you can take, I'm going to go like, for the ears it's going to be like maybe, I'm going to cut maybe like 1 inch, just to make them a little bit thicker. For the body I'm going to do like 3 inches. And you see how thick that's going to be? That's going to make it to where the plush is a little bit deeper. Okay, so these are my pieces so far. This is all the white pieces. This is for all of Bongo Cat. I have pieces to make the paws a little bit wider. These are the pieces to make this wider. And what I mean by that, let me explain again, is you're going to take this and it just goes around the edge. Like this. And then when you sew that on, you're going to take, well, that's 2 pieces under there, but you take 1 piece. When you sew that on, you're going to put this on top and sew that on, and you see how it'll make the paw a little bit thicker. You don't have to do this. If you want, you can just like sew these together and it's just fine. The same with the body, you can just sew that together and it's just fine. The only reason why I'm doing is to make a little bit more three-dimensional, you know what I mean? So these are all the white pieces, and now I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut the, it's going to be out of the tan fleece here. I'm going to cut the tops and bottoms of the bongos, and I'm going to use the brown, excuse the kitty, I'm going to use the brown to measure around here, and that's going to be the sides of the bongos. So I have the tops and bottoms of my bongos lined up, and I'm just going to cut those out. So what I'm going to do now is I have my 4 pieces cut out, and I'm going to measure around them. Let me get the tape measure to lay. Okay, and that's going to be about 11 inches, okay. So then I take that, put it on the brown, and I'm going to cut about 11 inches. Again, this is up to your discretion. You can make the bongos how tall or short you want. This is just for the length around, but so I'm going to cut up to here. But how thick it is, I think I'll make mine fairly short, so maybe like I'll cut it like 2.5, and that will be the sides of my bongos. Okay, now we have our pieces for bongos. We have all of our pieces for Bongo Cat. So now we're going to start sewing. What I like to do is start with the biggest piece first. So I'm going to take these pieces. I had to cut 2 because my fabric wasn't long enough to cut a 30-inch piece. So what I do sometimes when I'm short is I'll cut half and half. So these are 2 15-inch pieces. So this is what I'll do. I will sew, again, this is the right side. The part with the ink on it is the wrong side. This is the right side. So I'm going to take this, and also look at the right side on your fabric. So this will be my right side here. Take this and just, it's going to go around like that. And usually I like to make the seams either on the bottom or on the side when I have to cut 2 pieces like this. So in this case I'll do it on the side. And we're just going to lay it around like that. Sometimes you'll be over, like sometimes you'll over measure, and that's fine. It's better to over measure than under measure. And I'll just pin it on like that. And again with the other piece I'll do the same thing. I'll wrap it around here and I'll pin it on and start sewing. So I have it all pinned. That is what that looks like. And usually I like to set my pins sideways, but if I'm using the machine I'll set them like this, because the machine, if they're set sideways, can bind up on them. So if I'm hand sewing I'll set them sideways. But I'm going to do this. Actually, I think I will probably hand sew this because it's a little bit small, but either way this works. I mean, you can set your pins however you like. So I have sewed around here, sewn the edge together, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this other piece. Remember, right side goes down, and if I can get it to lay on there right. Basically, I'm going to sew this on top all the way around, and I will show you what that looks like. So this is what it looks like pinned on, and just FYI, you will leave a space somewhere here open to stuff with. What I did was I left, not this side, the other side, I still have it pinned, but it's not sewn, and that's because I'm going to use that to flip it inside out and stuff it after I'm done sewing it. You can choose any area you want to leave open and stuff it with, you know, it doesn't really matter. Alrighty, so I have that sewed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pin out and go ahead and try to flip it inside out. I'm going to put the camera down for this. Here, maybe you can see there. Okay. So, this is what we have here. This is the body, and the body is pretty much done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on to the little paws. And let's see, is this the good? Yeah, this is the good side here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's like a little bit fluffier than the bad side here. Anyway, so these two are the good sides. I'm going to take one of these and, well, which side is, yeah, that's the good side, okay. Take one of these and just put it around here like so, and sew that on. So, I sewed that on, see that? And now I'm going to take this is the right side, take this and sew it on top. I have that sewn on, so let me flip this inside out. And this is one of the back paws, or the rear paws. So, see how it gives it a little bit more thickness, you know what I mean? Super thick. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with the rest of the paws, and I'll show you that. Okay, so I have the paws done, all of those done, the body. So next I'm going to do the ears the same way. I'm just going to take this off and go around it like that, sew it on, and then just put this on top and sew that on top of that. Okay, both the ears are done. Now we're going to move on to the bongos, and I will show you what that looks like. Okay, so we have all pieces done. Here's the little bongos. And now the next step is to go and stuff all of this, and we're going to sew it all together. And also I'm going to get out my black and pink felt and cut out little details for the face. I'm going to make little lines for the bongos here to make them look a little bit more realistic, and also the pink for his little paws. So we are going to start stuffing everything. I have everything here, and I have my stuffing over there. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so everything is stuffed. Stuffed all the little pieces. Now what I do is, I'm going to close this up firstly, but you can do this any way you want. Like, there's a different method to attach things, but what I do is I'm going to, well, firstly, it's hard to show you with one hand here, but I'll fold the edges in so it's not a raw edge showing, and then when that's folded in, I'll pin it up here and I'll sew it to the plush, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I've closed up the bottom, and this is the ears pinned to it. Now, the way I attach them is I use an invisible stitch. I'd show you, but I have no way to hold the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick, and then I will start pinning on the little paws and the bongos and everything else. Okay, so the ears are sewed on. See that? They're sewed on. And now I add the face and the small details last. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the paws and everything and pin it all where I want it to go. And then the very last thing I do is put on the felt details. So this is a rough guess, or not guess, but like a rough estimate on where the paws will go. Right now I'm going to go ahead and close up the bongos, and I'm going to add the black strips on the side like that. You know, obviously I cut them too big, but I'll add them like that to make the bongos look a little bit more detailed. Okay, I cut the black felt to fit one of the bongos. It's just sitting there. It's not fastened or pinned or anything like that. I usually use a glue gun to do fine details like this, but with felt you can use a felt stitch or any other stitch you like to attach it to the bongos. Okay, so we're on the home stretch here. I cut out the little face. I finished the details on the bongos and I glued them together. They will sit right about there. Yeah. And I also cut out the little details for his paws. So what I'm going to do is glue those to this. Actually, I'll probably sew these paws on first just to see where they sit, and then I'll glue the details onto that. And then after that I will sew on these two as well, place the bongos, and then glue on the face, and I will show you all what that looks like. Okay, bottom paws are attached. They're sewn on. Now for the top ones. Almost done! Front paws are sewed on. Now also I pushed them up a bit so they would be, you know, like he's lifting up his paw like he usually is. So you can make it to where, you know, they flap down or up or whatever. But I wanted to make it to where the bottom of his paw was clearly visible. Also, I completely forgot. I looked down and see this. It kind of startled me for a bit because it just looked like my blanket was smiling at me. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and glue on the face and the paw details and bongos, and we will see what he looks like. Alright, we got his bongos and his paws. Last bit is the face. Oh my god, I love how he turned out. He's so adorable. He's so cute. Remind my fabric bag over there. I put his mouth off to one side because, you know, every time you see him, he's like on an angle, you know, and his mouth is a little bit to that side. But if you want, you can center his mouth however you want to do it. Here's his bongos, his little feet. Oh man, I didn't expect him to turn out cute like this. Like I was actually pretty skeptical. I'm so glad he turned out okay. Look at him. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Alrighty, well thank y'all very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If y'all are interested in anything else I do, I will leave links to all my other sites below. And thank you for watching. I hope this helped you make an adorable bongo cat. Meow.